Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om Sri Guru Samhita, the legend of the Supreme Guru, original in Marathi as Sri Guru Charitra by Sri Gangadhar Saraswati, composition in Sanskrit by His Holiness Sri 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 Vasudevananda Saraswati, also known as Tembe Maharaj. This translation into English is provided by Dr. Narasimha Swami Banavara. Chapter 43, Description of Sri Ananta Padmanabha Vrata Protocol. Salutations to Lord Ganapati. Salutations to Lord Dattatreya. 1. The Supreme Guru addressed the Brahmin Swayamdeva. He said, I shall now tell you about the extremely great and divine Sri Ananta Padmanabha Vrata that several people have been performing for a long time. Note, Ananta means infinite. Padmanabha refers to Lord Vishnu, who has a Padma, that is lotus, emanating from his Navi, that is navel. Lord Brahma resides in this lotus. Sri Ananta Padmanabha is Lord Vishnu, who is infinite, eternal and divine. 2. Previously Yudhishthira, the son of King Pandu, performed this great Sri Ananta Padmanabha Vrata and reclaimed the kingdom he had lost. This Vrata is extremely great and meritorious and divine. Note, Yudhishthira is the epitome of Dharma, that is righteousness. He and his 4 brothers, collectively known as the Pandavas, were the sons of King Pandu. The Pandavas form the central characters in the great epic Mahabharata. Yudhishthira had 4 brothers, Bhima, Arjuna, Nakula and Sahadeva. Their common wife was Draupadi. 3. Hearing the Supreme Guru's words, Swayamdeva saluted the Supreme Guru and asked him, O Lord, who was Yudhishthira? How did he lose his kingdom? How did he reclaim it? 4. The Supreme Guru said, Yudhishthira was the eldest son of King Pandu. He lost his kingdom to his cousins, the Kauravas, headed by Duryodhana, in a deceitful game of dice. 5. After he lost his kingdom, Yudhishthira, along with his 4 brothers and his wife Draupadi, left for the forest where they lived for 12 years. 6. Roaming around in the fierce and dense forest, Yudhishthira was stricken with grief. In this worried state of mind, he was always contemplating on Lord Vishnu. He was immersed in deep sorrow. 7. Yudhishthira had lost everything he owned in a deceitful game of dice. He had lost his kingdom as well. He and the other Pandavas had to experience all sorts of troubles and impediments along the way in the forest. 8. Once inspired by the evil-minded Duryodhana, the sage Durvasa came to test the Pandavas and take away their sattva-guna, that is, qualities of positivity, goodness and wholesomeness. At that time, the Pandavas were saved by the grace of Lord Krishna, who was always there to protect them. Note, this incident involving the Pandavas and sage Durvasa has been narrated in the note in chapter 38, verse 76. 9. To seek relief from their troubles, the Pandavas performed several types of vratas, that is rituals, and several pilgrimages with profound devotion. The Pandavas suffered innumerable distress and sufferings in the forest while wandering around with wild animals. 10. Thus, when they were suffering, the Bhaktavatsala, Lord Krishna, who is the Lord Narayana himself, learnt about their problems and came to the Pandavas with great affection. 11. Seeing Lord Krishna come to him, Yudhishthira was overcome with happiness. He invited Lord Krishna with great respect. With immense affection and respect, he prostrated himself before Lord Krishna. 12. Yudhishthira wiped the dust off the Lord's feet with his locks of hair. By doing so, he became blessed. He worshipped Lord Krishna as the manifestation of the Supreme Spirit. 13. He offered the Lord all the different kinds of worship, including argya, padya, gandha, that is fragrant sandalwood paste, akshata, that is colored rice and flowers. He also considered himself blessed and purified with the darshan of the Supreme Lord Krishna. 14. Thus Yudhishthira worshipped Lord Krishna with profound devotion and praised the Lord in all humility. He said, O Lord Krishna, O Hrishikesha, O Bhaktavatsala, friend of your devotees, praises be to you. 15. O Lord Narayana, O Ananta, the Infinite One, O Deliverer of devotees from the ocean of life, praises be to you. O Resident of Kshirasagara, that is ocean of milk, O Lord of Goddess Lakshmi, O Lord of wealth, O Bhaktavatsala, praises be to you. 16. O Paramatma, that is Supreme Lord, O Paranjyoti, that is divine light. There is no doubt in the fact that you are the Trinity, Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva. You created this universe, you protect it, finally you destroy everything. 17. You are the life force for the entire universe and you protect the universe always. You reside in a blade of grass, in a piece of wood, and in all the tangible and intangible items in this world. You even reside inside an atom. 18. You possess all the three gunas, that is, qualities or modes, O Hrishikesha, salutations to your divine lotus feet. You create this universe with your Rajas guna. You destroy everything in this universe with your Tamas guna. 19. In order to destroy the evildoers and to protect the good and the righteousness, you incarnate yourself time and again with your Sattva guna. You are respected and revered by all the Vedas, Shastras, and other sacred scriptures. 20. If you have indeed incarnated on this earth to relieve Mother Earth of all unnecessary burdens, then why are you protecting this Yudhishthira, who is a burden for Mother Earth? Why did you protect me? 21. You keep saying everywhere that the Pandavas are my life, and yet you have to put us in this dense forest and have made us suffer innumerable distress and afflictions. 22. If you really have compassion for us, then why are we suffering so much? Tell me. Why are you ignoring us when we are roaming around in this deserted forest? Why have you kept us here? 23. With whom shall I pour out the vows of my heart but you? Tell me, if you ignore us, then why should we be alive anymore? 24. At that time Bhima also came out and saluted the feet of Lord Krishna. He said, O Lord, O Master, O compassionate personified, we are your devotees. Why are you ignoring us? 25. Then Arjuna came and placed his head at the divine feet of Lord Krishna. He folded his hands and saluted the Lord. He said, O enemy of the demon Mura, O benevolence personified. Note, Lord Krishna vanquished the demon Mura. He is therefore known as Murari, the enemy of demon Mura. 26. O Sri Krishna, if you really have mercy upon us, then why are we suffering this inhabitants in the forest and associated troubles and afflictions? 27. May your words that the Parthas are dearer to me than my life become true. Please vanquish our troubles. Thus Arjuna prayed to Lord Krishna. Note, Yudhishthira, Bhima and Arjuna were the sons of Kunti, the first queen of King Pandu. Kunti was also known as Prutha, and as her sons, the three were known as Partha, although the name Partha is popularly referred to only Arjuna. 28. Then the two twin sons of Madri, that is, Nakula and Sahadeva, came and humbly saluted Lord Krishna. All the five Pandavas along with their queen Draupadi said to Lord Krishna. Note, Nakula and Sahadeva were the sons of Madri, the second queen of King Pandu. 29. They said, O Lord, why have you made us live like this in the forest? O Lord, our staunch enemy is enjoying our kingdom. What should we do? Please tell us. Note, the staunch enemy of the Pandavas was Duryodhana, who usurped the kingdom of the Pandavas in a deceitful game of dice. 30. Even though such a powerful being as yourself is our friend, we have still been deceived by our enemies. When we are suffering such distress, then what hope do we have to reclaim our kingdom? 31. What should we do now in order to get back our kingdom? O Lord, O Hrishikesha, tell us. Hearing their pitiful words, Lord Krishna was moved. 32. Lord Krishna said, O Pandavas, I shall advise you a vrata, that is ritual. By performing the vrata, you shall be able to reclaim your kingdom. 33. O Pandavas, the vrata is the divine Sri Ananta Padmanabha vrata. It is the most excellent among all rituals. By performing it according to procedure, you shall be able to win back your kingdom very soon. 34. I am the all-pervading and omnipresent Ananta, the complete, perfect and infinite one. You will be able to reclaim your kingdom by definitely performing this Ananta vrata in my honor. 35. I pervade in all the manifestation of time, including Kala, Kashta, Muhurta, day, night, fortnight, month, Ayana, year, Yuga and Kalpa. Note, Kala is a slice of time equal to 1 by 900th of a day. It is equal to 1 minute 36 seconds. 2. Kashta is a slice of time which is equal to 1/30th of a Kala. 3. Muhurta is a slice of time equal to 1/30th of a day, also equal to 48 minutes. 4. Ayana refers to the half year depending on the movement of the sun. 5. Yuga is an era. There are 4 yugas. Kritika Yuga, that is 1,728,000 years. Treta Yuga, that is 1,296,000 years. Dwapara Yuga, that is 864,000 years. And Kali Yuga, that is 432,000 years. 6. Kalpa refers to one day of Lord Brahma. It is equal to 1000 yugas. 36. I am Lord Narayana, pervading the past, present, and the future. I have incarnated in the family of the Yadavas in order to destroy the evildoers, protect the good and the righteousness, and to protect the earth. 37. I am Vasudeva Krishna, the son of Vasudeva. I am Ananta, the infinite one. O Dharmaraja, do not have any doubts. Lord Brahma, Lord Vishnu, and Lord Shiva are all aspects of my one form. Note, Yudhishthira is also known as Dharmaraja, the king of righteousness. He was the epitome of Dharma. 38. I am the 12 zodiacs, the 9 planets, the 14 worlds, the 8 Vasus, and the 12 Adityas. Do not doubt this. 39. I am 11 Rudras, the 7 oceans, the 7 lower worlds, including Patalaloka, and the 7 mountains. Note, the 7 mountains are the Himalayas, Nishada, Vindhya, Malyavanta, Pariyatraka, Gandhamadana, and Hemakuta. 40. I am pervasive in every blade of grass, in every tree, brush, and creeper. I am present in the sky, stars, the 10 directions, the intermediate quarters, and in everything else I am invincible. 41. I am the 7 lower worlds, including Patalaloka. I am the 7 upper worlds beginning with the earth. I am the gross and the subtle elements of this universe. There is nothing except the omnipresent and the all-pervading being, which is me. I am without form and I am indivisible. I am without birth. 42. Therefore, O Yudhishthira, know me as Ananta, the infinite one. I am eternal. Worship me according to the procedures in this vrata. 43. Hearing the words of Lord Krishna, Yudhishthira humbly asked, O Lord, what is the procedure of this vrata? What should I donate as part of this vrata? How should I worship you as Ananta? 44. When should I perform this vrata? Who performed this vrata previously? O Lord, please tell me all this in detail. 45. The Lord Krishna said, O Dharmaraja, you have asked excellent question. This vrata should be performed in the afternoon of Chaturdashi, that is the 14th day of the bright half of the Hindu month of Bhadrapada. 46. If you perform this vrata with respect and devotion, you shall win back your kingdom very soon. Previously a sage performed this vrata. I shall tell you the story. 47. Previously in the Kritika Yuga, there was a Brahmin by the name of Sumantu. He was from the Vasishta Gotra. He was very righteous and a great sage. 48. His wife was from Bhargava Gotra and was named Diksha. She was a great Pativrata lady. They had one daughter by the name of Sushila. 49. O Yudhishthira, a few days after the birth of the child, the poised and the virtuous lady Diksha died suddenly. 50. The father Sumantu single-handedly raised his daughter with great affection. The girl Sushila grew up to a good-natured and sweet girl. She would draw nice, beautiful and auspicious drawings such as the swastika. 51. She used the 5-colored Rangavali to decorate these lovely designs. She was a very intelligent girl. She decorated her house with different kinds of lovely buntlings. 52. She would sweep the floor, mop it well, and draw beautiful designs such as Shankha, Conch, and Padma, lotus with the Rangavali. The highly intelligent girl would worship the Supreme Lord and salute him with special devotion. 53. Since Sumantu was without wife, his Upasana and other rituals had stopped. In order to continue his rituals, the Brahmin Sumantu decided to marry again. 54. He married a woman by the name of Karkasha. True to her name, the woman Karkasha was a very cruel woman. She was bad-tempered and evil-natured. She used to fight every day. Never did a day pass without her fighting with her husband or stepdaughter. That was really unfortunate. 55. Soon the girl Sushila reached the marriageable age. The father Sumantu began to worry about his daughter's marriage. He thought, this is the right time for her marriage. Whom should I marry her to? 56. While he was thus thinking, one day in the early morning, a very orthodox sage by the name of Kaundinya came to his house. This sage Kaundinya was from Kaundinya Gotra. Sumantu spoke to Kaundinya about his daughter, and Kaundinya agreed to marry her. 57. Sumantu performed the marriage of Sushila and Kaundinya according to procedure. Since it was the rainy season, he arranged for his new son-in-law to remain in his house for 2 months. 58. Mother and daughter would fight every day for one reason or another, mostly because Sushila was a stepdaughter of Karkasha. Seeing this, the son-in-law Kaundinya said to his father-in-law, we shall construct a small hermitage elsewhere and live there. Then everyone can be happy. 59. Then Sumantu said in a sorrowful voice, Alas, what a woman this Karkasha is. She is indeed my enemy. She is constantly fighting. She is a deadly sinner. Why did I ever marry this woman? Now my daughter and son-in-law will move away from me. 60. A house without a peace-loving woman is indeed a forest. O Lord Shiva, O enemy of Tripura, I am drowning in this miserable ocean of life. Note, Lord Shiva vanquished the enemy Tripura. He is therefore known as Tripurari, the enemy of Tripura. 61. This woman does not help me in any of my rituals or my penance. This Karkasha does not listen to any of my words. I would have been happy if my daughter had stayed here. I could have had my son-in-law by my side. 62. Seeing Sumantu so miserable, Kaundinya consoled him and said, two people performing similar rituals must never be together. Both will cause impediments to each other's rituals. 63. Therefore, I shall set up my hermitage elsewhere and conduct my rituals comfortably. I shall not go far from here. You can come and meet us whenever you want to. 64. Then Sumantu said, O Kaundinya, please stay here for 12 days. O Asterix, you may leave on the 13th day, which is auspicious for all tasks. 65. Kaundinya heeded his father-in-law's words and stayed there for 12 days. On the 13th day, Kaundinya left with his wife to his new hermitage at an auspicious moment. 66. At that time, Sumantu said to his wife, O Karkasha, my daughter and son-in-law are leaving now for the new house. Pack them some lunch made from rice or wheat for the travel. 67. Hearing those words, Karkasha went to her room and locked the door from inside. She loudly refused to give anything. 68. She did not open the door at all. Sumantu beat his head in desperation and frustration. Thus Sushila comforted her father and said, Father, do not worry. You do not have to give me anything. I shall leave now. 69. Then the Brahmin Sumantu went inside the kitchen and brought some wheat calf and gave it to his daughter. Then he set them off on their journey. 70. Sumantu seated the couple in the bullock cart and sent them on their journey. He returned home in sorrow. As the couple was going in the cart, Kaundinya stopped by the river for his afternoon rituals. 71. The sage Kaundinya sat down on the river bank to perform his rituals. At that time, Sushila saw a group of women near the river and went to them. 72. The women were dressed in red clothes and were performing the Chaturdasi Vrata with great respect and devotion. Each of them had 2 kalashas, pots of water that they were worshipping. 73. The sweet-natured and polite Sushila slowly went to the group of the women and said, O mothers, what vrata are you performing with so much affection and devotion? 74. The woman said to Sushila, This is the great Ananta Padmanabha Vrata. This is a great and powerful vrata, is an excellent means to attain fulfillment of all your desires and wishes. 75. Sushila said to the woman, Please describe to me the procedure of this vrata in detail. 76. Then the woman said to Sushila, O good lady, listen, sit here before us. We shall tell you about this vrata from the beginning. 77. This vrata should be performed in the afternoon of Chaturdashi, that is the 14th day of the bright half of the Hindu month of Bhadrapada. This is the Sri Ananta Padmanabha Vrata. By performing this one attains fulfillment of one's desires and wishes. 78. One should prepare a red-colored woolen or silk thread with 14 knots. One must then bathe in the river or any other body of water according to procedure and perform one's daily rituals. 79. One should then wear red-colored clothes or decorate oneself with turmeric, kumkum, saffron and other jewelry. One must then fill 2 kalashas pots with waters. 80. Then one must put Panchapallava in the water-filled kalashas and as many precious gems as possible. One must then invoke goddess Yamuna in the kalasha and worship her with all 16 forms of worship. Note, the Panchapallava are 5 tender shoots of the following trees. Amara, that is mango. Jambu, that is the rose apple tree. Kapitha, that is the elephant or wood apple tree. Bijapuraka, that is lime. And Bhilva, that is bale or wood apple. 81. After worshipping goddess Yamuna in the Kalasha, one must establish a Purnapatra and an Adishesha made from the dharma grass or Kalashas. One must offer worship to Adishesha. Note, a Purnapatra is a smaller pot or other vessel placed upon the Kalasha. Sometimes a coconut is also placed on the Kalasha as Purnapatra. 82. One must then place new clothes on the Purnapatra and draw the auspicious 8-petal lotus designs on the cloth. One must invoke Lord Ananta in the Purnapatra and worship him. 83. One must draw several auspicious and beautiful designs such as the lotus, the Shankha and the Swastika in front of the Kalasha using 5-colored Rangavali. 84. First, one must offer all the 16 forms of worship to Lord Adishesha. Then one must worship Lord Ananta with all the 16 forms of worship according to procedure. 85. One must then contemplate on the following form of Lord Ananta with steadfast mind. Lord Ananta is the vanquisher of all kinds of sins. He reclines comfortably on the great serpent Adishesha. He is Paratpara, of the great excellence and most superior. 86. Lord Ananta has 4 arms and he dons the Shankha, that is conch, Chakra, that is the discus, Gada, that is the mace, and Padma, that is the lotus, in those hands. He has 20 eyes. He is omnipresent and pervading throughout the universe. He has a brilliant and radiant aurora around him. 87. After contemplating thus on Lord Ananta, one must perform worship to the 14-knotted red-colored thread, which should be placed near the Kalasha. One must invoke divinity into the thread with the 12-syllable mantra and must perform all the 16 forms of worship. Note, the 12-syllable mantra recited here is Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 88. One should perform the puja while reciting the Purusha Sukta or the Vishnu Sukta. One may recite the Vedic mantras or the hymns according to one's status. Note, women are generally not allowed to recite the Vedic mantras. They perform the puja reciting other hymns and verses from the Puranas. 89. After the worship, one must recite the mantra Samsara Gafara and tie the thread to one's wrist. Then one must recite the mantra Namaha and remove any old thread that one has tied from previous vrata. 90. Then one must donate wheat, rice cakes, fruits, betel leaves and betel nuts and dakshina money to one's guru, priest or a Brahmin and seek their blessings. 91. One must then feed Brahmins with all kinds of delicious dishes. Afterwards, one should happily eat lunch with one's family, friends and relatives. 92. One must thus perform this vrata for 14 years, after which one must perform Udyapana at any time. For the Udyapana, one should establish 14 kalashas and worship them. Note, Udyapana is a ceremony that brings a ritual to a right conclusion. By performing the Udyapana, the ritual will be deemed perfectly complete and successful. 93. One must also feed several Brahmins and donate several items to the Brahmins and married women. By doing so, one urges fulfillment of all the Purushastras and lives a contented life. O Sushila, this is the divine vrata of Lord Ananta. Perform this vrata today itself. 94. Today is Chaturdashi. Worship Lord Ananta along with all of us. Saying this, the woman happily gave her a red-colored thread to start the vrata. 95. Sushila tied 14 knots of the thread and with profound devotion performed the puja of Lord Ananta according to the instructions of the woman. 96. With great devotion, she donated half of the wheat calf which her father had given her to a Brahmin. She then proceeded to leave. 97. Sushila saluted all the women and with their permission came to her cart. By that time, her husband Kaundinya had also completed his afternoon rituals and he came to the cart. 98. Kaundinya and his wife sat in the cart and proceeded further. After a while, they saw a big city that glittered with pomp and splendor just like Amravati, the city of gods. 99. The citizens of the city saw the illustrious couple and invited them. They said, O Maharshi, you and your wife should remain in this town itself and continue your rituals here. 100. The couple heeded the request and went into the city. As a result of the divine grace and blessings of Sri Ananta Padmanabha, the couple prospered and lived happily in the town. 101. They thus remained there happily for some time. One day Kaundinya saw the red Ananta thread the Sushila had tied around her wrist. 102. He asked his wife, O Sushila, what is this? Why are you wearing a red thread on your wrist? Is this a charm or an amulet to bind me to you? 103. Sushila said to her husband, this is the thread of Lord Ananta. It is because of his blessings that we are so prosperous today. There is no doubt in this. 104. We have this fortune from the day I performed the vrata of the Lord Ananta. This is definitely his blessings. 105. Hearing his wife's words, Kaundinya became angry. He snatched the red thread from her wrist and threw it into the fire. 106. He shouted, who is this Ananta? All this wealth is the result of my penance and my rituals. This is the truth. There is no doubt in this. 107. You have tied this thread red around your wrist as a charm to seduce me and keep me in your control. That is why I have to throw it into the fire in anger. 108. Sushila was overcome with sorrow. With great difficulty, she took the burning thread from the fire and put it in some milk, all the while reciting the Lord's name. 109. From the day onwards, their fortune ceased. Over a period of time, poverty descended upon them. The sage Kaundinya became steeped in penury as a result of throwing the divine Ananta thread into the fire. 110. All his cows, wealth, grains and jewelry were stolen by the thieves. Friends suddenly became strangers and inhospitable. Kaundinya became a penniless beggar. 111. His house burned down soon. All his clothes were stolen by thieves. Kaundinya lost everything he had and became a penniless beggar. 112. Kaundinya thought about what had happened. He realized that all this misfortune was the result of his anger of Lord Ananta upon him. Also out of arrogance, I snatched the divine and sacred thread and threw it into the fire. That was a deadly sin. 113. Repenting thus for his sins, Kaundinya decided that he would not eat or drink anything until he had obtained darshan of Lord Ananta, the consort of Goddess Lakshmi. 114. Shouting Ananta, Ananta, he rushed into the dense forest. There he saw a mango tree laden with flowers and fruits. 115. But not one bird or insect touched the tree or ate anything from the tree. Kaundinya asked the mango tree, O mango tree, have you seen Lord Ananta? Tell me. 116. The mango tree said to Kaundinya, O Brahmin, I have not seen Lord Ananta. When you see him, please tell him about my situation. 117. Then Kaundinya walked further, all the while chanting Ananta. Ananta. Further down the path, he saw a cow and its calf roaming around in the green pastures but not eating even a blade of grass. The cow was suffering from extreme hunger. 118. Kaundinya asked the cow, have you seen Lord Ananta? Tell me. O cow, please have mercy upon me and tell me immediately. 119. The cow said to Kaundinya, O Brahmin, I have not seen Lord Ananta. When you see him, please tell him about my situation. 120. Kaundinya walked further. On the way, he saw a great bull roaming aimlessly. He asked the bull, O bull, have you seen Lord Ananta? Tell me. 121. The bull said to Kaundinya, O Brahmin, I have not seen Lord Ananta. When you see him, please tell him about my situation. 122. Kaundinya walked further. He saw two divine freshwater lakes next to each other. Water flowed from the two lakes to each other only. Hence the lakes were of no use to anyone else. Also, there were no birds in the lakes that could drink the waters of the lake. 123. The lakes were filled with beautiful flowers such as lotus and lilies. They were filled with fresh drinking water but were of no use to anyone. Kaundinya asked the lakes, O lakes, have you seen Lord Ananta? Tell me. 124. The two lakes said to Kaundinya, O Brahmin, we have not seen Lord Ananta. When you see him, please tell him about my situation. 125. Kaundinya walked further. On the way, he saw a donkey and an intoxicated elephant. He asked the same question as before and received the same answers as before. 126. Kaundinya had walked a great distance by the time he had not eaten or drunk anything. He was tired, desperate, and sorrowful. He decided to end his life. He began to scream out, Ananta, Ananta. Soon he lost consciousness and fell down on the ground. 127. At that time an old Brahmin arrived and comforted him. With great affection he said, O Brahmin, get up, get up. 128. O good man, you have asked everyone, where is Ananta? Where is Ananta? Come, I shall show you where Ananta is. Saying this, he extended his hand to help Kaundinya get up. 129. Helping Kaundinya up, the old man took him inside the forest. There Kaundinya saw a big, beautiful and extraordinary city. 130. Kaundinya entered the beautiful city. In the middle of the city was a grand palace. In that palace was an exquisite and grandiose gem-studded throne. The old man sat on the throne. Instantly Lord Ananta assumed his true and grand form and granted darshan to Kaundinya. 131. Kaundinya saw the divine form of Lord Ananta and was overwhelmed with joy and devotion. He held on to the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord and prostrated himself before the Lord. He was overcome with emotion and he began to sing praises of the Lord. 132. Kaundinya said, O Supreme and Perfect Bliss, O Govinda, that is another name for Lord Vishnu, O one bearing the Srivatsa, salutations to you. All my troubles and sins have been vanquished with just your darshan. Note, Srivatsa is a swirl of hair on the chest of Lord Vishnu. 133. You are Lord Brahma, you are Lord Vishnu, you are Lord Shiva. All sins are destroyed just by remembering you. I seek refuge in you. 134. O Lord Narayana, O Srinivasa, O all-pervading and omnipresent. O salutations to you. You are my protector. O resident of Vaikunta, I seek refuge in you. Note, Vaikunta is the abode of Lord Vishnu. 135. O Ananta, O Lord of the universe, I am deadly sinner without devotion. O Supreme Lord, please forgive my sins. I seek refuge in you. 136. I do not know anyone but you. You are the Supreme Lord. I hold on to your divine feet. You are my Savior. You protect those who seek refuge in you. O Lord, I seek refuge in you. 137. O Lord, I am immersed in your lotus feet just like a bumblebee. May my life be blessed. My existence is indeed blessed. That is why I seek refuge in you. 138. Thus when sage Kaundinya praised the Lord with genuine and profound devotion, Lord Ananta was pleased. The Lord is the Chintamani to his devotees. Lord Ananta said, O sage, I shall grant you 3 boons. 139. Lord Krishna said, O Yudhishthira, Lord Ananta gave sage Kaundinya 3 boons. With the first boon, Kaundinya's poverty was destroyed. With the second boon, he became an expert in all the rituals of Dharma. With the third boon, he acquired a permanent place in Vaikunta. 140. Then Kaundinya said, O Lord, I saw some strange scenes along the way. I want to tell you about them. First, I saw a mango tree laden with juicy fruits. 141. But not one creature was eating those fruit. Then I saw a cow roaming around with its calf steeped in sorrow. 142. It was in a green pasture, but it was not eating anything. It was only shedding tears. Then I saw two lovely lakes full of fresh water. 143. Water kept flowing from one lake to another, but there was no creatures in the water of those lakes. O Lord, further down I saw a bull. 144. It was also in deep distress without eating anything. O Supreme Lord, later I saw a big and intoxicated elephant. 145. O Lord, later I saw a donkey as well. Further down I saw an old Brahmin man. 146. Why are all these creatures in those situations? I do not know. O Keshava, O Lord of the world, please have mercy on me and tell me about these situations in detail. Saying this, Kaundinya held on to the feet of the Lord Ananta and saluted him. 147. Upon being thus questioned, the compassionate Lord Ananta said, O Brahmin, O Kaundinya, the mango tree that you saw was in fact a Brahmin in its previous birth. 148. In that birth, the Brahmin was proficient in all the Vedas and Shastras, but he was an arrogant and conceited man who never imparted any education to any of his disciples. 149. As a result of that, he has now been born as a mango tree with juicy fruit that no one will touch. The cow that you saw was a Brahmin in his previous lifetime. This Brahmin donated a barren land in which no plants could grow. As a result, he is unable to eat anything even though he is in a green pasture now. 150. The bull that you saw was a very rich man in his previous birth, but he was a very greedy and miserly person. He never donated anything to anyone. As a result, he is aimlessly roaming around now. 151. The two lakes that you saw were two sisters in their previous birth. They never donated anything to anyone but would just exchange items between themselves. That is why they are useless lakes now. 152. The donkey that you saw was a very angry man in his previous birth. The elephant was a very arrogant and conceited man. They all experienced the result of their behaviors now. You have the same behaviors. You had the same behaviors, but by the time you saw all these creatures, your mind had become dispassionate and clear. Therefore, you saw me in the guise of an old Brahmin man. 153. All the creatures that you saw on your way have been released from their sins by me. You shall experience all the joys of this world, and in the future you shall attain salvation. 154. Then you shall attain a permanent place in the sky as the Punarvasu star, which shines constantly. Thus Lord Ananta blessed Kaundinya with great affection and benediction. Note, Punarvasu is among 27 stars that adorns the skies. 155. O Yudhishthira, thus sage Kaundinya experienced all the joys of this material world as a result of the divine Anantavrata, experienced the pleasures of heaven as well. 156. Thus Lord Krishna explained the divine Anantavrata to Yudhishthira and the other Pandavas. He said, perform this divine vrata, destroy your enemies and reclaim your kingdom. 157. Several sages on this earth have performed this excellent vrata. Whoever performs this vrata shall attain fulfillment of all Purushastras and lead a contented and happy life. 158. The Supreme Guru Sri Narasimha Saraswati said, O Swayamdeva, this vrata called the Ananta Vrata is the most excellent and divine among all vratas. You advise your eldest son, Naganatha, about this vrata. 159. Sage Kaundinya performed this vrata and experienced all the happiness in this world and the next. This vrata offers immense fruits. O Swayamdeva, you also perform this Ananta Vrata. 160. O Swayamdeva, you belong to the Kaundinya Gotra. Do not abandon this divine vrata the sage Kaundinya performed. This vrata yields immense fruits. O Swayamdeva, perform this vrata regularly. 161. O Swayamdeva, follow my command and perform this Ananta Vrata every year. Decide with a steadfast mind that you will perform this vrata regularly and then follow up on it. 162. Upon being commanded by the Supreme Guru, Swayamdeva dutifully performed the Ananta Vrata. He also worshipped the Supreme Guru with several forms of worship. 163. He performed the Mangala Niranjana, that is divine light, to the Supreme Guru. He offered music and songs for the Supreme Guru. Thus he worshipped the Supreme Guru with profound devotion and a clear mind. 164. Swayamdeva arranged for a grand feast for all the Brahmins in the Supreme Guru's honor. The Supreme Guru was very pleased with everything Swayamdeva did. 165. Swayamdeva thus happily worshipped the Supreme Guru with complete faith and devotion, then obtained permission from the Supreme Guru. Swayamdeva returned to his village with his wife and children. 166. He made suitable arrangements for his family in the village and returned to the Matha to serve the Supreme Guru. 167. He remained near the Supreme Guru and served him faithfully. O Namadharaka, Lord Ananta was pleased with the devotion that your ancestor Swayamdeva Sakhare exhibited. 168. Guru Siddha said, O Namadharaka, O disciple, your ancestors have taken great pains to earn this treasure. This is divine and extremely sacred. The treasure is the Supreme Guru Sri Narsimha Saraswati. 169. Thus Saraswati, the son of Gangadhara, humbly and seeking refuge in the Supreme Guru, presents this divine Sri Guru Charitra to all the readers. Whoever listens to this divine legend with a steadfast mind shall attain fulfillment of all his desires and wishes. He shall not have any rebirths. He shall attain the divine form of the Lord. Thus ends chapter 43 in the Bhakti Kanda, in the dialogue between Guru Siddha and Namadharaka, in the text known as the Legend of Narsimha Saraswati, authored by Gangadhar San Saraswati in the Marathi language as Sri Guru Charitra and referred to as Sri Guru Samhita, composed in the Sanskrit language by His Holiness Sri Vasudevananda Saraswati. Om Tat Sat. Mantrahina, Kriyahina, Bhaktihina, Kshemapate. Om Sri Krishnarpanamastu.